So for this next lesson, we're just going to open up a new level, which is an open world type. So go ahead and open yourself up a new open world level. Give it a save, and let's continue. So in addition to ocean water, we can also add a variety of other types of water bodies. For example, if you go to Place Actors panel and you search for Water Body Lake, you can drag and drop a lake into your scene. This of course interacts with the Unreal Engine landscape, and you can modify its properties. So for example, if I grab this little corner over here, I could affect the size and location of the lake. I can also grab from this little spline right here, and I can move that around, and that will affect sort of the shape and curvature of my lake. So I can just sort of tweak that around to whatever makes me happy. And in order to set the depth of my lake, I'll head to the outliner and of course make sure I have my water body lake selected. You can also of course click on it in the viewport editor, and then back in the details panel, scroll down until I find my curve settings right down here. From the curve settings, the channel depth is, as it would apply, the depth of my lake. So it's kind of hard to see, but you'll just have to take my word for it. That got deeper. All right, I'll do that a little bit deeper still so you guys can see. Oh, now it's a very deep lake. Anyway, so that's how you affect the channel depth. The curve ramp width affects the gradation from land into water. So as you can see at 500, it's sort of this 45-degree angle, give or take. If I was to change that up to 2000, you can see it's a much more gradual transition from land into water. 5000 would even be more gradual. And for example, 0 would be no transition. It would basically just drop off like a cliff into the water. Now, our water body lake uses the same sort of configuration as our water body ocean. So if we wanted to affect the waves or the material color, we could do so just by looking for those. For example, here's the material for water material, and just like we did in our last lesson, if we wanted to adjust that, we could do that in very much the same way. You can also add additional spline points to your lake just by right-clicking where you want a spline point to be added, and then you can just go add spline point here, and you'll get another little point from which to pull and shape from, so you can create a lake in whichever sort of crazy way you might like it to be. Or not crazy, it could be a totally sane lake. Anyway, so let's take a look next at rivers. Okay, you probably guessed it by now. We're going to go to Place Actors and we're going to look for Water Body River. Going to drag that Water Body River spline into our scene. It'll take a moment, but then it should appear. Now you have a river. It works very much the same as our water body, a lake. So we can grab a section, we can move that section around and affect how our spline, our river shape is shaped. I think I actually moved it up there. Now I created like a water slide. I meant to move it to the side. But yeah, you can do all sorts of really cool stuff. And of course, if you need more points in your river, you can do that also in the same way. Let me move that a little bit more. And I'm going to add another spline point. Let's say right in here, add spline point so I can have more of a winding river. And you can just kind of play around with that to whatever makes you happy. Of course, Unreal Engine water is designed to interact with Unreal Engine landscape. So if I wanted to move this up more vertically, up more high, the river water will basically pull up the landscape around it and deform it so that your water actually makes sense, that it is actually traveling on landscape. So you can just kind of adjust and tweak. It's really quite fun and satisfying to adjust and tweak your water river spline around. So there we go. I've created something of a water slide. Additionally, river is going to have a few options, such as river velocity in particular. As you can see, our river is actually moving at a certain speed. So if we wanted to increase that river velocity, we could just do so. And of course, I have selected the water body river, and I'm in the details panel in order to do that. So at the moment, that is rather a straight running river without much feature in its terrain. Now you may want to adjust some of the landscape around it and make it look a little bit more natural. What you might notice though, if you go to your sculpt tool in your landscape mode and you start adjusting some of your landscape, is when you get to around here, nothing much happens. So we just need to go and we need to change the blend mode. And so with our rubber baby buggy bumpers, with our river water body selected, we're going to head to the details panel and we can just search for blend, and that will bring up the water height map settings where currently we're in alpha blend, but if we change that to max blend, we can see that the landscape is now paintable all the way to the edge, so that if we wanted to create more terrain features as our river goes along, instead of just like this perfectly straight river, we could certainly get more precise. Create a little babbling brook or something like that. Okay, I think we've covered water enough, and I think we're going to move on to the next lesson. Good job, well done. This lesson is from my Unreal Engine Beginners course. You can get access to the entire course on my Patreon page. All of my Patreons get full access to all of my courses, and I will be adding more courses and tutorials over time. Links in the description. Thank you for all the support.